Yo, what's good everybody? Welcome back to the 21 part guide. Today we're going to talk about RYU's recovery guide. Now if you watch the Ken recovery guide, this is pretty similar. However, a lot of things do change because of the fact that RYU has a different Tatsumaki. He has a different Shakunetsu, different Hadouken, like the speeds change. He has an additional projectile, like I said. His Shoryuken doesn't have flames. His focus attack has more range, which does help with a lot of things that we're going to work around with. But overall, this is pretty much similar. But as a RYU main, I will give you some tips that do change it up. So this will go by a lot smoother than the Ken one did, because the fact that if you already watched the Ken one, which you should, is going to just be somewhat of a recap. When recovering with RYU, what you want to do is you want to abuse all the tools RYU has in his kit to make it back to stage. Now, our recovery can be linear. I remember when RYU and Ken first dropped, everybody was saying the recovery is so easy to edge guard, blah blah blah, it's so linear, blah blah blah, right? These days, all I get from people is this recovery is stupid, why can you do that, blah blah blah. Like literally people struggle to edge guard me because it's ridiculous what I can do off stage. But it all comes up to me being creative and using every single tool to make it difficult. All right, like this recovery can be so easy to edge guard, so easy to block and stop if you're just ignorant and don't know how to, you know, make it hard for your opponent to deal with, right? But since you guys are here, that means you're here to learn and get better with this. So I'm going to break down the tools that you need to get by. So you're probably wondering what the tools in question are. So the first tool I want to talk about is our projectiles, Hadouken and Shakunetsu. So first, notice how when I shoot a Hadouken in the air, I hover, right? This, we just call it Hadouken hover, right? And the cool thing about Hado hover is I'm just going to press, I'm going to jump and then press B. All right, I hovered. That's all that happened. But if I hold back after I shoot the Hadouken, watch how I drift backwards. That is going to save you a lot with micro spacing in the air. You can also do it forwards. You can choose how far forward you want to go, so you don't have to hold it all the way. You can influence how far you want to go when you're doing that hover. So it gives you an extra movement option while you're in the lag of Hadouken in the air, which is going to be very useful, guys. It's going to be very useful like for combos and everything later on when I talk about stuff. But right now we're focusing on recovering, and that's so good for microspacing and putting yourself in a preferred spot to avoid certain attacks, right? Let's say someone's trying to spike you. You just Hado hover forward, right? You didn't burn a jump, you didn't burn a air dodge, none of that. You just dodged it. You can just Hado hover backwards. I use this stuff in the air, which is pretty risky, but the reward is so great if you learn how to do this, guys. Now, like in the Ken guide, I showed you guys you can shoot a Hadouken onto the stage for your opponent to deal with, right? The thing is, Ken only has Hadouken, and cool thing is with RYU, he has more dramatic speeds. Like his light Hadouken's slower, his medium Hadouken, you know, like all the speeds are different. The heavy Hadouken speeds are like insane. You want to use this to your advantage. So every time your opponent's trying to edge guard you, just shoot a heavy Hadouken. You shoot a light Hadouken. Mix up the speeds. All right, but enough of Hadouken. All right, because Hadouken is not the one that I use the most. What I use the most is I use Shakunetsu. Why? Because Shakunetsu is a 5-hit attack. All right, and that means your opponent has to block the whole animation of Shakunetsu hitting their shoot, which takes up more of their time. If they get hit by the Shakunetsu, that takes up more of their time as well than getting hit by a Hadouken, right? So if they block a Hadouken or they parry a Shakunetsu, right, you want to go for Shakunetsu. Even if they parry Shaku, they're in more lag than parrying a Hadouken. So you want to make sure you shoot Shakus more, but you definitely want to make sure you mix it up, right? As Hadouken does, especially at later percents, then your opponent flying backwards a little bit. So it does give you like a little bit of space, especially with the heavy variation. Before we move on, I would like to mention that Shakunetsu does indeed have the hover mechanic and the drift mechanic as well, just to double check that you guys understand that. So you can still drift when doing the input. The only difference is with this one, you'd have to do an input instead of just pressing the B button, you know? Like Hadouken, you can just take the shortcut and just press the B button, right? But with Shaku, you have to actually do the input itself. So keep that in mind. That's the only difficulty to it. It's just going to take practice, all right? Next up, you have RYU's Tatsumaki. Just like Ken's Tatsu, RYU's Tatsumaki can get influenced by your double jump. So if you jump Tatsu, you do a rising Tatsu. If you hold the jump, so if you don't do it at the peak, like as you're rising, you're not going to get a rising Tatsu like this, right? You're going to just get a neutral Tatsu. Or like this. That's a neutral Tatsu, right? You're basically just going straight forward. This one right here is a descending Tatsumaki. So basically, as you fall down and you do that, carries your momentum of falling into the Tatsumaki. Basically what I'm saying is, where you are, depending on your momentum, your jump, Tatsumaki would carry you from that spot and keep pushing your momentum forwards, right? So that's a good way to mix up your recovery into 3 different directions to make sure you get it back. It's not exactly 3 different directions because, you know, the momentum isn't just 1 0 or 1 2 3. It's like 1 1.5 blah blah blah. Like, you know, as you're going up and down, it's more of a spectrum and not just specific numbers. All right, so next up we have RYU's focus. Next up, we have RYU's focus attack. Now, cool thing about focus attack is, like I mentioned earlier, you can eat up an attack. You eat up 1 hit. Now, if you do focus attack out of your jump, you hover a bit. All right, and now being able to hover and also being able to eat up 1 hit, you can bait out an attack, eat it up, and then make it back to stage. Right? It's really good when you know your opponent's going to like drop down like fair, because a lot of fairs are single hits like Bowser Fair, Cloud Fair, Roy Fair, like. All those fairs are literally single hits. So if you jump out there with a focus attack and eat up that attack, you're going to be in advantage, right? And you can just recover after that. Next up, we have Shoryuken. Honestly, RYU's Shoryuken, it's straightforward because there's no flames on it. It's literally just a regular attack in this game. So most times, let's say someone has like a bomb at ledge, right? Like a snake bomb, just snap it and it wouldn't really hit them. You hit your opponent too easily. Unlike Ken's, which Ken's pops people up and Ken's is stronger at the peak, RYU's isn't. So if you do hit your opponent there, it's not going to do too much. It just gets them away from the ledge. It's really not like a move you want to rely on as something that gives you distance at ledge, especially when your opponent has like higher percents. It's not as good as Ken's, but it's still pretty decent. It's still pretty decent of a move to use to get somebody off the ledge. If you don't want a hitbox popping up, you know, you can just easily slide up the sides of the stage to make sure your hitbox doesn't, you know, hit the stage while you kind of snap. Or we can go for the medium and light variations of your Shoryuken. All 3 of them have different heights that we talked about. So make sure you keep that in mind when you're playing this character. You want to make sure that if you want to switch up your recovery height when, you know, going low, like the timing, you have to learn all the Shoryuken timings, because if you don't, you're gonna mess yourself up. It really does help to avoid 2 frames, to avoid counters, to avoid like active hitboxes here that trigger when you hit them. Now, what's really important though, as a Shoto main, is you have to keep your double jump. Your double jump is what helps you get out of situations. Your double jump is what saves you when you want to focus attack, rising focus attack. It's what saves you when you want to shoot a hadouken over ledge and then snap like that. It's what saves you when you want to rising tatsu. It literally is so key for your gameplay. It's what saves you when you want to just jump air dodge in, bro. You want to make sure that you save your double jump. Without your double jump, Ken and RYU literally suck at recovering. It's ridiculous. So you want to make sure you cleared your path for yourself, and then you go in and then use your double jump and recover. Or if you don't have to use your double jump, just recover. Make sure you only use it when necessary. You don't want to burn it, guys. You really don't want to burn this move and waste it. A lot of times when I'm in bracket, people always say, wait, you're still alive? Yeah, I didn't burn my double jump. You know, I used every other option I could, but I never used my jump. All right, that's the last tool I need to make it back to ledge. So make sure you always keep your double jump in the back, like in your back pocket, because if you don't and you use that first, you're definitely gonna have to pay the consequences. Now, we all know that RYU's Tatsumaki is a singular hit attack. So earlier I showed you guys that you can shoot a hadouken or a shotgun, or with Ken it was a hadouken. You can shoot a projectile to make your opponent deal with something while you're recovering, right? So there's one thing about RYU that I don't really like to do, because of the fact that his Tatsumaki is 1 hit. All right, we all know RYU's Tatsu is 1 hit. Ken's is a multi-hit and it crosses up, right? If they shield it. Unfortunately with RYU is if your opponent shields, clearly I can't do it because Smash is trash when it comes to computers, and my other controller is basically dead. I don't feel like recharging it right now for this. But imagine your opponent shielding. If your opponent shields and RYU like Tatsumaki's your shield, for example, like you only get 1 hitbox, and after that hitbox hits their shield, RYU's Tatsu has no hitbox, but he's still spinning. So that means that you can just punish him for it, right? So usually here with Ken, I'll just miss ledge on purpose, and if I hit somebody, I can confirm into like a Shoryuken off of it, right? However, with the RYU, if you do that with RYU and they shield, you're gonna look dumb. Because with Ken, if you hit their shield, you cross them up and you're good, right? With RYU, you're still spinning on them and they can punish you with like an F smash or something, and you don't want to do that. So with RYU, you don't want to throw out your Tatsu at ledge and miss on purpose, unless you see somebody already doing an attack or a setup here. You don't want to throw it out. It's just not that, it's not smart whatsoever. It's not safe. You just want to make sure that you snap ledge most times with RYU, okay? That's what makes him different from Ken in that aspect, but that's just a small minor detail that really doesn't matter too much. It's just one anti-ledge trap tool that Ryu doesn't have. Another cool thing Ryu can do at ledge is, let's say your opponent's at around this distance trying to catch your roll or punish you on your getup, right? Usually with a smash attack or something. Ken can't do this because Ken's focus attack doesn't have that distance, right? But what Ryu can do is he can drop off ledge, focus attack, and probably land a level 2 based on how far you can risk the charge, right? For me personally, it's kind of hard because I've been playing a lot of Wi-Fi, you know, because of quarantine, so I'm not going to be able to talk over while I do it, but I'll show you the clip right here. Now, I understand that it does look weird and reactable, but you want to use this as a punish. So let's say your opponent's already picked an option at that point. Quickly throw out that focus attack, and most times they literally cannot beat it out because either 1, it's too far away, 2, you can clank with it, right, with the focus, or 3, like their smash attack isn't just strong enough to beat the focus at that point, and you win. So most times it's really good to just save that in the back of your mind as a way to punish them quickly. It is very risky, but it's stylish and cool to pull off. I also wanted to give you guys a little bit of some focus attack counterplay that Ryu has, because of the fact that with the Ken one, I did show y'all like his focus attack counterplay, which Ryu also does have. But I want to make sure if you want to learn that trick, go over to the Ken recovery guide, because I want to make sure that I'm not reusing every piece of information that showed over there, right? So over here, another cool thing Ryu can do is he can shoot a Shaku off the ledge, which Ken can do as well. But with Ryu, it's really good because your opponent has to deal with the Shaku on their shield if you do hit them on shield a lot longer. And you can also combo off Shaku at ledge like that, depending on what percent you're at. Combo or string, depending on how much rage and all that stuff you have. So yeah, what you want to do here is you just drop off ledge. You do the Shaku input while you click jump, and you just jump off ledge and shoot a Shaku. And make sure you hold forward so you get the Shaku drift onto the stage. Alright, you can do the same thing with hadouken with Ken as well, or with Ryu. It's such a good option, guys. But I love going for Shaku in moments like this. But if you do go for Hado, you can get a conversion off of it, because Hado is really good with stun. And if your opponent's too far and they got hit by it, you can just down to DP them and get a good kill off of that conversion. So yeah, so another cool thing that Ryu can do at ledge. Ryu has a lot of projectile counterplay, focus attack counterplay. His character is just based around projectiles, to be honest, and focus attack. So alright guys, last thing I'm going to talk about for this guide is Ryu's get up jump from ledge. So Ryu and Ken, the Shotos, can grab ledge and focus attack. That way they have a form of defense in the air to make it back and to move themselves into the stage, while being able to have no lag, so they can basically just go in for an attack after it, right? If your opponent's trying to react, you can throw an attack to trade or beat them out. So right here, let's say your opponent's at like high percent. What I like to do in these situations is when I grab ledge, focus attack, go past them, and back air, right? Back air is a pretty good move in terms of like kill moves or whatever, and once they have to, you know, go back and re-grab ledge, it's up to me to reverse the situation. So I was the one getting ledge trapped, but it turns out all of a sudden they're the ones getting ledge trapped, or they're dead, depending on what percent they're at. So keep that in mind as a very cool tech to use. I showed y'all another variation of what you can do with Ken. If you want to find that one out, go ahead and check out the Ken recovery guide. But hopefully I was able to give you guys enough information on how to deal with ledge trapping, how to recover, how to deal with edge guarding as a Shoto player, because honestly it can get really bad if you don't know what you're doing, and you have to really use every tool you have to make it back to stage. You can't just sleep at the wheel, because if you do and you get caught lacking, you're going to have to pay the price. One last thing before I end this video that I forgot to mention: do not spam your options. If you've tossed it to ledge 3 times in a row, you better expect to get spiked for that. If you've Shoryuken down here 3 times in a row, you better expect to get 2 frame for that. You have to mix it up, guys. You have to. If you shot a hadouken here, you better expect to get hit with a fair for that. You have to learn to mix it up, because if you get red, you're dead. Like, that's literally how it goes with these characters. If you get red, you're dead. So use your tools and make sure every single time you're out there, it's something different, man. Make sure that they're always at your mercy. They don't really know what you're going to do. They're just trying to guess right, and make sure that's how they're always going to be. Keep them on their toes. You know what I'm saying? But with that being said, hopefully these guides are good for y'all. I know they're not crazily edited. I wanted to make it a interactive video, like I said, with the Ken guide. I really do hope you guys are able to absorb information and understand more of these more about these characters from that. Now with that, all that being said, thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys later.